Hello and welcome to your mom's favorite channel. And today I'll show you how to make a lovely vegan quiche. Let's get right into it. And first you'll need 150 grams of chana flour. Chana flour is chickpea flour, and then add 75 grams of bread flour, 10 grams of salt, and as per usual a fuckload of nutritional yeast, 15 grams to be exact. And then 1 gram each of onion and garlic powder, and 2 grams of turmeric, and then 1 to 2 grams of black salt. And the black salt will give it that distinct eggy taste and smell. This stuff is quite potent, so it's pretty easy to overdo. So rather add too little than too much. Give everything a quick mix and then add 50 grams of any oil. And then add 350 milliliters of any plant-based milk. Give it a quick whisk and then add 5 milliliters of lemon juice. And make sure to mix everything thoroughly. And by now you've probably noticed that I like using my flavored oils. Just add a little bit, this is optional, then put it aside while we prepare the rest of the ingredients. So this is the part where you have to decide what you want to put into the quiche. But I'll give you a rough guideline of what I think works well. Finely chopped onions makes a great base flavor. Can never go wrong with some garlic. Mushrooms will always add some umami to the mix. I like using peppers because it adds more texture. Chives or spring onions for extra flavor and color. Fresh or sun-dried tomatoes will add little pockets of contrasting flavor. And you'll see this tomato slipping around because my blade was a bit dull, and it cut just fine after a quick sharpening. And with the sharp blade, you cut easier and you are safer. I know that might sound a bit contradictory, but I promise you that it's true. We have to pre-cook some of these ingredients before we put it into the quiche, like the onions, mushrooms and garlic, because sometimes they won't fully cook while baking, and you can season these as you please. Bacon is something that works really well with a quiche, and this is bacon from a brand called Herbivore. It's made from seitan. I just cut it up into small pieces and fried it with the rest of the stuff, and then we can just put that aside for now. I'm going to be adding some of this homemade tofu, but first I'll make it into like a tofu scramble, and this will also work as a kind of filler so that you don't have to use as much of the quiche mixture per quiche. My tofu was looking a little bit dry, so I added a little bit of the quiche mixture and everything started coming together. And now it's time to get crusty. Generally you would use short crust pastry, but I only had puff pastry and phyllo pastry. And the basic idea is to fill the bottom of your mold with a pastry to form a crust, and also to get your tripod not to work properly. Hey, my crust is up here, you fucking pervert. Anyway, always make sure to grease your mold first before putting the pastry in, and then you pre-bake them at 180 degrees Celsius for 10 minutes. And while that's baking, I'm cutting up some of this BioLife mozzarella cheese. This stuff works really well with this. And then start filling your pre-baked crust with whatever fillings you feel like. And once you are done filling, it's time to add our egg mixture. And you want to add enough to cover all of the fillings. Then place it into the preheated oven at 180 degrees Celsius for 10 to 20 minutes. And you will know if it's ready if you poke it with a toothpick and it comes out dry. And unfortunately for me, I kind of forgot to grease this one up, so I had a bit of trouble getting it out. And depending on how deep your mold is, you can do this in layers. I used some of the tofu in this one, so that meant that I didn't have to use as much of the mixture. I also wanted to try one where it's almost like a bacon wrapped quiche. So I first lined the side of the mold with some bacon before adding the rest of the ingredients. I also took 2 pieces of overlapping phyllo pastry and gently pushed them down into a greased mold to form a little bowl. I then also finished it off with a little bit of grated vegan parmesan and then threw it into the oven for 10 to 20 minutes. And with this last one I wanted to do another crustless quiche, but I did remember to grease this mold first. I topped this one off with a little bit of chakalaka. Chakalaka is a spicy South African vegetable relish. Cooking time will vary depending on the depth and size of your molds. Okay, so I really like how these came out. I might have been a little heavy-handed with the turmeric, so if you want it to be a little less yellow, just use less turmeric. With the measurements of this recipe, you can make one large quiche or a bunch of small ones like I did. And this little square fucker is the result of me not spraying the mold beforehand. So I just cut the sides off to make it look more presentable. What does a French chef give his wife on Valentine's Day? A hug and a quiche. These small quiches will be perfect for snacks, a light meal, appetizers, or apparently the punchline to a fucking lame joke. Anyways, if you like this recipe, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Like this video. If you have any questions or suggestions, leave them in the comments down below. And as always, I'll see you on the next one. Peace!